Teammates. We are back once again. If this is your first time listening to the Move Swiftly podcast, welcome to the show. To my regular listeners, you already know what I'm going to say before it even comes out of my mouth. You're speaking and you're listening to Mr. ABC. Always be connected. And we have our third guest from the Thrive After Sports Collaborative. Again, this is a organization that my guy Taj put together, who was the first guest on this show. This was an organization he put together maybe about a month or two ago, if so long. And I already have my third guest from this group on the show. So that what that tells you is you got to constantly connect, got to constantly work with like-minded people. And this, other people, you can leverage other people when it comes to the vetting process and all those kinds of things. Now, as far as the guest today, there was so much that I would try my best to try to introduce him, but there's so much, Kenneth, that there's so many different things that I saw. I saw you had a song out, a hype song. You got 6 books. You're a TED Talk speaker. So instead of me trying to just introduce you to the listeners, I'll go ahead and let you do the intro yourself, and then we'll kind of get into the dialogue.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I appreciate you, connecting with me. I love the ABC, always be connecting. That's amazing. I really believe that connection is currency when it comes to this. But just to get it started, man, my name is Kenneth Scott. Everybody call me K Scott. That's just the name, from sports back in the days. They just stuck with me. So I go by K Scott. I'm a 6-time author. So I got the Pressure No Match for Purpose series, a memoir about my 24, which is a memoir about my mom, and then also a children's book for my daughter, my oldest one. And then I'm a writer. I love writing flash fiction books. Flash fiction series. I'm gonna soon later turn them to books, so that's pretty cool. But a writer, social health speaker, basically teaching people how to build, maintain, and improve relationships. And then also a music artist. I've been fortunate enough to compound that into many things, so I'm appreciative. But my main thing is just helping people, recognize their gifts, utilize their gifts, just to leave a blessing.
Yes, and in that intro, I want to make a point to listeners, and I want to make sure we emphasize something. He really brushed over the fact that he played football. All right, and so often do we, especially at the younger age, and I know a lot of you younger guys are listening to me now, is we make football our life, and even some of you parents, you make football your life, and you don't understand there's an entire world outside of there in football. Now, just please tell you played at a Division I program at Utah and all that. Can you just briefly walk us through your experience there and how you were able to kind of be one of the ones that saw a bigger light, saw something bigger for your future if you didn't make it to the NFL?
Yeah, for me, growing up, I give all credit due to my mother and also my pops. I call my stepfather my pops because my father was in my life. So my stepfather, when he came into my life at the age of 9, he implanted that father figure in the home and guided me on the right path. So I give all that to my pops and my mom. So for that, in high school, after my sophomore year in high school, I was fortunate to be ESPN top 150. So my name, my buzz, my product was out there. And as I was progressing through high school, before my senior year, I was a 4-star athlete, All-American, all that. I came into an adversity situation to where I needed it was a potential of me needing a rod in my leg, to the point where the doctor said you have 2 options. You can either put this, I forgot the name of it, but basically it's a bone stimulator. That's what it's called, a bone stimulator over your shin splints, because basically they said if I would have got hit in my shin, and I would have broke my leg, my lower half of my leg in half, right? And
my God.
That point, it was crazy. Yeah, I was like, God dang.
Now this is you're in high school at this point, right?
High school.
So you have athlete. The whole world. You're getting ready. I mean, college coaches coming in after you. You're the 4-star recruit, ESPN, all that, and then this bomb drops on you.
Bomb drops, and I was like, no way. And so that kind of, in the beginning, was like, oh shoot, well, what if? That's when the what if came into part. But fortunately for me, I was able to heal up, complete my tenure, became the number 34 nationally ranked receiver in the nation, right? 4-star athlete, and went to the University of Utah. And so there was a couple pivotal moments where I had to make that game-changing decision. My freshman year, when I was slotted to play as an incoming freshman at the University of Utah, I broke all the ligaments, tore all the ligaments out of my ankle. And, all of us, when we go into football, we 3 years and I'm out, meaning I'm about to go to the NFL. You can see me later type thing.
Absolutely.
and for me, you know, that injury, you know, derailed that. And I had to obviously medically redshirt that year. And I went into a depressive state because I was like, man, sports was all I knew at that moment, you know. And luckily for me, my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, she was like, look, what else do you like to do outside of football? Like, if football don't work out, what are you going to do with your life? And I believe like me having her being in my life played a pivotal moment too, because like, you know, women, because she was a basketball player at the University of Utah. She was Gatorade National Player of the Year in high school too. And her career got stopped short because of an injury. And so like she brought it to me like, you know, with women, like they don't have that much after college, right? As far as like professionally, like the WNBA doesn't make as much money as if you were to just get a corporate job for a woman, right? So from her outlook, she was like, you know, for me going professionally, it's like cool, you know, it's but like I really need to focus on education because that's what's really going to propel me. It's not like you guys in football where you can get these max $1 million contracts, basketball, all these sports. And so when I got
they have to think about what's next a lot earlier.
And so like having her in my corner, it kind of gave me the light, like, dang, what else do I like to do? Well, what else am I good at? You know what I'm saying? And so I started deep diving in multiple things. And so, you know, fortunately for me, that's the injuries that derailed my career early on, like within you know, in college. And luckily I was able to overcome them. But like the injuries put a pause on football. Like, okay, start exploring your other interests so you can see what else is out there. And it's not just Case Scott, the football player. It's Case Scott this, Case Scott that. And one of the things that I always used to tell people is like, you have different vehicles to get you to your destination, right? Football is just one of the vehicles. You have, like, for me, music is another lane, a vehicle that I can use to get to my destination, speaking, writing, you know, so many different vehicles. And for me, it took football being temporarily removed from me in order for me to kind of put the blindfolders off.
Well, you know, first of all, we got to shout out wifey. Shout out to wifey on that. I done heard situations where the girl sees you're injured and she's out the door. She does the complete opposite.
Right.
So, shout out to wifey on that because it's so important. And that actually is another big lesson for a lot of you, whether you're female or you're a male athlete listening to me right now. Too many times do we feel like we're invincible and we start to take certain people for granted, or we start, you know, hanging out with the wrong crowd, feeling like we're too cool, feeling like we just got it like that. And it's so important that you get people that really understand what you're going through and that are propelling you to another phase in life. So, you know, shout out to wifey on that. We need more like you.
Yes,
Now,
for sure.
as far as your when your playing career ended and you know you're faced with that ultimate question of how you transition, can you just talk about where the the books came from, the love for writing, and you know how all of that, how you were able to figure out a way to package everything? Because you know 6 books is a lot, and you know to be able to balance that with a music career and then your speaking career, how are you able to figure it and kind of package everything up?
You know, I'm always a big proponent in education. I don't know, this odd reason, I always loved like teaching. Like that was something about me and storytelling. And so I love storytelling. And so like when I got done playing and I finally hung up, after college, I had the opportunity with the Los Angeles Rams, got cut, went to the CFL, got cut. And it was at like a pivotal moment in my life where it was like, man, do I continue pursuing this path, or do I move over to the next phase to create stability, to create a career for myself? You know, and that's the time where my wife, she was having our firstborn and she was living in a whole nother state. And she was like, hey, no disrespect, but unless we have some stability, we won't be moving. Cause like it's a newborn. Like I didn't have no job, no income, no nothing. My mom just passed away during that time too. So it was like a really dark transition for me. And so like I heard someone tell me before, like, you're being selfish of not like telling your story to other people, because even though it may impact one, it can help that one get past a certain level in their life to which they probably would have been stuck at if they wouldn't have heard like your story. And so writing for me has always been an outlet. And I think I began writing when my mom, you know, the back end of her life, she started writing in journals. right? And her whole process was, how can I use my story, my testimony, to help others get through their challenges, situations, to overcome them. And so, like, seeing that perspective and that viewpoint of what made my mom want to write, it made me want to, because that was my first book. Actually, my first book was me finishing my mom's book so she could become a published author, because that was her goal, that was her dream, that was the reason why she started journaling, to pack all those thoughts down to become a published author. But unfortunately, her life got cut short and she wasn't able to finish it. So here I am with all these journals in her hand, knowing that was her end goal. And I was like, man, the only phrase in my head was like, there's still ink left in the pen. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I began writing and started going on my journey. I was like, cool, let me take her story, the black and white. Let me add some color to it. Let me make the stories flow in a nice, appealing way, so that when it goes out on the market and I publish it, others like the lupus organizations, individuals with lupus, can be able to be like, man, this is an impactful story. And it's a quick read, like an airplane read. So I think that's what started my journey. And then from going from my mom's memoir to my books, I was like, man, what is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that like helped me get, across the way? And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write my life events. I'm gonna make it like a memoir, and tackle all these events. And so my book is called Pressure No Match for Purpose, and it's helping athletes transition from one field to the next. Because I feel like, as athletes, whether you're in high school, going to college, you feel the pressure of, man, I need to be able to go out there, give myself some exposure so that I can be able to reach the next level of, said college, or if I'm in college, how can I maximize my time in college so that I can get to the next level, right? Because all of us go through certain type of pressures that it's like, man, if I don't get here, then dang, I don't know if, for instance, like me, if I don't be able to get to college, how am I going to be able to help my mother in our situation, Section 8, low income, living on SSI checks and all that, public housing? Like, how am I going to get her from her situation so that we can be able to actually finally live? And so for me, it's like, man, all these pressures that we go through as individuals and as athletes, I just wanted to, my story to be out there like, here's how it helped me. Hopefully you could take some nuggets from it and apply it into your life to be able to help you in all the stages, like high school, college, and then after when you graduate. So the book is really, so that's my first book was my mom's. My second book is a 4-part series. So it's the deluxe version with all the individual segments within one. Then you got the high school version, college version, and the graduate's version. So that's what encompasses for the books.
Man, I mean, there's when you first introduced yourself in the community and I first looked you up, I mean, when you were talking about your mother and talking about the situation that she lived through, I was really, really touched, because the majority of my life, my father had a kidney failure, and I would see every single day throughout high school, he'd be on dialysis. It'd be constantly just over and over, not even knowing. In fact, there was one game, it was my senior year in high school. There was one game where my mother had to rush him to the hospital because his catheter had got infected, and then I happened to have a full cramp. So it's me and my father in the hospital, my mother and my sister holding. And the only reason he's getting ready to celebrate his 70th birthday today, the only reason that he is here with us, or he's still with me, is because he got the kidney transplant. And when I was hearing about how you were speaking about your mother and how she needed a kidney and all these things, there was so many feelings that came about, especially when it brought me back to my father in terms of the conversations we would have. And one of the things he did tell me was, don't be telling people about my chronic illness. He didn't want people to feel pity on him and things like that. And I hear you talk about your mother. I know it takes a great deal of courage. Like, you built up a great deal of courage to be able to say it, like at a TED Talk, not even just on it, like you saying it out loud for people to see it. You're not ashamed of it. You're able to overcome. Can you speak on how you were able to overcome these things? Because that was the most challenging part for me. And I'm sure for anybody that's like sort of suffering in silence, when it's like this pressure, man, that's pressure for you, not only to support your family, but now you got little ones to support, little humans to support yourself, your career is in shambles. Speak on the courage that it takes to actually be able to do and talk about this.
Yeah, for all my life, growing up, my mom had the same like perspective as like how your father had. Like, hey, I don't
Yeah.
want
So I
people
don't know what it
knowing
is,
like
man. They don't want no one to know.
nothing. Because my mom used to have these two lumps in her arm. I forgot the
Uh-huh.
name of them, right? And that's where and so she would never wear anything short sleeved at all. It'll be all long sleeves. And it got
Wow.
to a point where she accidentally was talking to a group, and they were discussing like how being vulnerable is so valuable, right?
Wow.
And that's the key to connection with everybody. Like once you connect with people and be vulnerable and let your guard down, that's when you're really truly there to make an impact. And then it's like, man, God gave you this story. Right? I'm not trying to go spiritual, but like, like the universe gave you this
Go ahead.
story and
Go
you
ahead.
over
Yeah.
here being selfish and not sharing
Right.
the story. Why did I even bless you with you overcoming that circumstance if you ain't gonna go and share it to help somebody else? Right. And so I think it got to a point where my mom was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna start doing reach outs. I'm gonna start connecting with individuals. And the beautiful thing is that like during my collegiate career, I built up so much like from my brand that everybody that encompassed me, like they knew my mom too. And like they were like literally, I'm not even gonna lie, when my mom like there were so many fans of my mom because like she was like fans will reach out to my mom on personal issues, and my mom would be like a consultant, like a counselor, like, hey, you're gonna be there, you're gonna get through this. I remember my mom passed, people will come up to me and was like, man, your mom helped me with boom boom, whoopty whoop, whoopty whoop. And I'm like, dang. And so like I think that perspective shifted when like
Yeah.
she's seeing like the impact that it can have, like
Hmm.
of her being selfless and sharing her story, and like and so I think like for me, it sucked at first. I when my mom passed in 2016, I didn't release the book till 2022, and I
Yeah.
was being selfish with her journals. I'm over here reading it like, dang man, the impact,
Hmm.
and I'm boohooing, crying, and
Yeah.
at the end of the book, my mom was just saying like how she hopes and like her dreams of like putting this out there so
Hmm.
that it can impact them. And I'm over here like, dang, I'm over here being selfish, bro. Like, how am I? I'm over here being selfish. So that's what like kind of gave me the energy and the confidence to be like, you know what? My
Yeah.
mom did this for not just her, but for like the people in the future. So let me go ahead and put this thing out there. Despite the reviews, I don't care if you like it or don't like it. I put it out there because that's what she wanted. You know what I'm saying? So that's what made me step out there.
1,000%. 1,000%. And that what he just for you listeners now, what he just displayed and what he just put out there is the power of work ethic, the power of what this game can be when used correctly. Again, you can get over an injury. An injury can happen. I might give up an interception. You may drop a pass. You may have a bad practice. You may just not like your coach or not like your teammates. There's so many little things that we think make a big deal out of. But when you really break down someone's story and you ask yourself, what are you actually doing this for? What is the thing that you're really and you actually touched on this in your TED talk. What is actually your why? What is actually your why? And you move with that. Your life becomes so much more purposeful. Your life, you will not have a bad day because you start to realize how selfish you can be, and the selflessness. You get better by helping other folks get better. You get better by sharing your story, knowing that it's going to touch somebody. I'm telling you right now, this is like as organic as I can tell you. K. Scott didn't know what he said about his mother was going to bring me to my father and then get him on the pod. He didn't know. He put the clip out years ago, probably. It's like, you see, it's still touching people and it's never going to stop. So I encourage you as a listener. I truly, truly encourage you as a listener. If you're suffering in silence, just like he had mentioned about his mom just covering up those lumps, don't do it. You're going to help someone, and do not be embarrassed by it at all, because you are going to touch someone. So just I encourage you to keep rolling with it. I know it's not an easy task, but as you're hearing, there's so many great things that can happen when you put your story out there. So okay, Scott, I do want to get this in. The concept. I spoke on your TED talk a little bit, and your concept about a legacy driven mindset. That one, I mean, it's that thing is straightforward, gives you the steps. And if you're like me, you have so much content out there, you have so many material. What did it take to get it to where you've gotten it to such an understandable place, and that you can give a 10 to 15 minute speech on it?
Man, it kind of was like my book process. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
like, what are some key themes that I want to take away? And it all stemmed from like the phrase that I mentioned on my book, like pressure no match for purpose. Like, and I truly feel like if your purpose and your why is big enough, then you're gonna figure out the how in between. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
so
Yes.
when I looked at my like adversities, obstacles, and challenges, I was like, man, how did I get through them? Like I had to, like I think Steve Jobs said it was like you can only connect the past, you can only like advance the future or something like that by connecting the dots in the past. And so that's what I had to do. Like I had to go through and like sit with myself and reflect on like all the shortcomings I had. I'm like, okay, cool. How did I get through them? And the first step for me was like, man, my why. Like that was the biggest thing. Like I mentioned earlier, like, you know, I was born in Texas, but raised in California. Like my mom, like you mentioned, she had lupus, you know. So for people that don't know what lupus is out there, it's a chronic disease. There's no cure for it. In addition, it's an autoimmune disease, meaning that your immune system that's supposed to be protecting you like against the colds, like flu, cold, COVID, right? It's now fighting against you. So it's your own body fighting against you. And then my mom had plantar fasciitis and blood clots on her neck, her legs, her arms. And if you would have like to touch her skin, it would be like you feeling like a toy doll. And like every night, like because she walks so much, her feet would be like swelling up like sausages. It was like, God dang, man, your feet ugly. But you know, going through those moments, you know what I'm saying, and seeing my mom
seeing
just
seeing that as a kid though is that's a lot, bro. That's a lot to take in, bro. You know, so I commend you for really, you know, not giving up, because that is a lot. And I know for a fact she may, and you touched on this. Hopefully I'm not stepping on your point, but she is here. She is here mentally. She is here spiritually. Just because someone's not here physically does not mean their presence is there. I almost feel her presence in this interview right now. Just listening to you, hearing how you can go and talk. It's almost like, look, again, people can leave you physically, but spiritually, they're gonna be right here all the time.
Right. Yeah, that's so true, man. And that is so true. And so like we said, man, in order for me to like really reflect on how I was able to, you know, give people the steps, was just I had to go back and just sit with myself and just think of all those moments. And that's how I came up with it. You know, everything starts with why, connect passion and purpose, you know, be a sponge, make a name for yourself after you learned all the things that you've learned. Now take it and flip it and make it for yourself, and then find your own pace. Like, you know, I feel like nowadays people, you know, want to go the pace of others, and their situation is totally different. It's like, bro, nah, run your race. Like, you good. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like those steps will like not only help you get to where you need to and maintain it, but also sustain it for like the future. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's actually what's going to be my next question is, what kind of resistance, like, how do you deal with the kids that ain't trying to hear all that? Where you see a young man or a young lady who's lost and they're like, look, I don't like reading. You know how it was back then. I don't do that. I'm a football player, I'm gonna make it and all that. Like, how do you, what's your approach to the younger generation when you try to get them to tap into exactly like the realness that life can bring them and how real life can get within the snap of the fingers?
You know, it's just like what our parents used to say, man. They try to defend you from like touching the stove, but sometimes you just got to touch the stove. Like, and I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to tell you everything about the stove. I'm like, and trying to like tell you, hey, the stove is hot. When you touch it, you're going to leave marks. But I can tell you everything about the stove, but until you touch that stove, that's when you're going to be like, oh man, everything he said, it was right. You know what I'm saying? And so like, sometimes even though you giving all the information, right, giving them the knowledge, sometimes you have to experience it to learn for yourself, to gain that wisdom. That's like really the true difference, like between knowledge and wisdom. And so like, I could tell you to blue in the ear or blue in the face, but like, I tell them like, man, take what, like, I tell them, oh shoot, my boy gone. There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. My bad. People want to blow me up right now.
Yeah, you're good. But what I tell them is like, man, the information I'm presenting to you, like take it in, right? And then figure out how you can apply it for yourself. It may not register right now, like the first 20 days, 30 days, but sometime you're gonna remember it in the future. And that's what my pops used to tell me. My pops like, hey, you ain't gonna listen to it right now, but in the future, you're gonna remember every single thing in that what I said, and you're gonna know how to do it when that time comes. And so that's why I tell her, I deliver the information, and whenever it's ready, in that oven to, come out and
Mhm.
be this beautiful looking pie after they can dive in and eat, everybody's timing is different when, it registers with them. So I don't take offense to it. If at that
Yeah.
moment they don't collect, cool. You're going to
Right.
experience something and you're going to remember what I say. You're like, dang, I should have listened. And then now every single time after that, everything I say, you're going to listen to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once it hopefully it takes, actually it does. It takes one time for a person to really, really get burnt. Like I'm thinking about when I tore my ACL, and I'm thinking about, when you had the whole world, you got college coach after college coach coming in, and you just realize, look, the shin could be gone, and with one hit, it takes one time for a person to really feel that, and they're like, okay, all right,
Mm-hmm.
everything all these people were saying, now I gotta get it right, because this game does not last forever. So,
Right.
with all that, case, Scott, I want to be very respectful of your time. Can you just tell people what's coming down the pipeline, what's next, what can we look out for in the future? How do you see this thing? What's next for you?
Man, this is crazy. It's crazy how fast the time went, man. I can talk for hours with you, man. But
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, well, this is unlimited. This is unlimited time. So whatever you got to say, you can talk.
yeah, man. Like, man, kind of going back into the student athlete thing, man. Like when it
Hmm.
comes to transitioning, always like to tell people, man, just explore. Like because through exploration, that's where you're gonna find motivation to figure out whatever lane that you want to go into and like dive deep into it. But one
Hmm.
skill that I always tell kids, especially now since the NIL thing is so big, is like learn the skills of sales. Like sales will make you more confident. It will teach you how to negotiate. It will teach you how to expand your worth and also take not take what is just given on the forefront and kind of dive deeper into the surface. Like, nah, I ain't taking that because I know my value, right? And it's
Hmm.
so, and I feel like, with the process of nowadays, man, I just think with the man, with these student athletes, man, if we could dive deeper on them
Hmm.
developing a knowledge of sales, to like selling their brand, selling their who they
Right.
are, their value will go so much, and they'll be able to translate into the real world if they maximize their time right now, like just getting the practice work in, right? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so,
Are you active at all with NIL, with the NIL
uh,
business?
some universities have reached out to me because of like obviously my university. I've been talking with all the directors and they want me to, come in and chat about the NIL efforts because of, my time in at the U. But so I'm aware. I haven't dove quite deep into it, but when people and
Hmm.
individuals come talk to me, I always give them the knowledge like, hey, this is some aspects of it that you should be able to do. I always tell them this, like, not everybody's going to be able to reap the benefits of like a Caleb Williams or like, one of these
Hmm.
top, athletes. So it's like, how can you find your marker to still get, reap the benefits of NIL? And like the
Yeah.
one quick trick pony for them, like what I always tell them is like, man, you better get on this affiliate marketing ASAP. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And one thing I told them, like, I gave them my story.
Yeah.
Like just last year, I performed in front of a jam-packed stadium, up to 70,000 people, right?
Wow.
First music artist to ever do it. So it's like I'm lit myself. But my thinking and my thought process is like, okay, how can I maximize this moment, knowing I have the opportunity to perform in front of 70,000 people everywhere, right? In the stadium. And I thought about it, and one of my songs is called Go Crazy. And if you were to walk into any Little Caesars out there on the crazy bread, it says Go Crazy. So I was like,
Hmm.
man, that'll be a great opportunity to partner with Little
Yeah.
Caesars. And so I reached out to the headquarters to Little Caesars, and lo and behold, I was able to front everybody that attended that game a free crazy bread with Go Crazy. So it's a promotion for me. It's affiliate
Yeah.
marketing for me. Like, and it's helping Little Caesars because you're not just gonna go to Little Caesars and just get crazy bread. Nah, you're gonna probably get a pizza. You can probably get a liter. So it's helping
Uh-huh.
their business. So it's like a mutual beneficiary
Yeah.
with that. I get the brand, I get the exposure, right? To put my name with Little Caesars and doing partnership deals with them. And Little Caesars monetarily gets exposure with the amount of footsteps that they're getting in their door. So it's like aligning, like, okay, what is it that you're good at, what you're doing with different businesses to figure out how both of you guys can, see fit and be a win-win situation. And so,
I
yes,
mean,
I can go all day on
I'm
that.
glad you said that. I do an NIL deal with a different college athlete every month. I call it
Mm,
Athlete of the Month, and I send them a copy of two of my books. One is the Six Figure Athlete, and the other one's called Make Your Move. And then I send them a copy of a pair of boxing gloves because I'm also a boxing trainer. And
what?
yeah, I mean, the thing is, what I'm doing is I'm looking to partner with folks just like you that I could introduce the players to, because the folks I work with are primarily at smaller schools. So the three people I've done it with, one is a basketball player at D3 school in Jersey. The other one is
Hmm.
a cross country athlete that is at the right here in Miami at the U. And the current one for this month of August, he's a D lineman at Holy Cross, at the College of Holy Cross. It's in the
Mm,
Patriot League in Massachusetts.
yeah.
And again, I'm constantly getting people requesting and wanting to do an NIL deal, but this kind of information is super, super valuable for them, because I'm not going to be able to do a deal with everyone. But just that
Right.
example that you said in itself, just the go crazy thing, there's local restaurants, there's local businesses,
Hmm.
there's something you can be doing as a collegiate athlete. Again, I've said it a million times on the show. He just reiterated, you're not Caleb Williams. You're not Blake Corum. You're not Marvin Harrison Jr. You're not
Right.
Angel Reese. The majority of you I'm talking to, you're not getting a Bentley or a Benz. All right. It ain't happening for you. I
Right.
swear. I would love it. I
That's
would
real.
love it if all of you, but look, those are some of the elite dudes and elite girls that are playing, and that ain't you. Okay. I'm just
Right.
putting it out there for you. So it's important for you to know, oh, okay, I could still make a deal. I could still earn my way. I can still learn how to sell product. And then eventually
Hmm.
you use it as a paid internship opportunity. Let's be honest with you. Let's be honest. The deal is for smaller school people.
Yep.
The deal, why are people blowing me? All right, the deal is for smaller school folks. It is for folks who probably won't make it to the league because you have a better
Hmm.
opportunity to do what you got to do. But I can go on a tangent on that. Yeah, we can go. We can definitely talk more about that, and I'll
Boy.
definitely put a lot more of that in the community as well. So, yeah. But you were telling us what's going on next. Go ahead and finish it out.
Yeah, my bad, man. Yeah, so going on next, currently right now, for the upcoming fall semester, it's just crazy. I mentioned teaching and education. I'll
Mm-hmm.
be teaching at Rice University, right? So
Oh yeah,
this
no,
this
Texas, right.
upcoming fall, I'll be a professor. You know what I'm saying? So Professor Scott out here, uh
Professor Scott, former wide receiver, Professor Scott. Oh yes,
yeah.
we gonna hurt someone now. We gonna hurt someone now. We breaking too many boundaries now.
Man, for real, man. And it's like literally everything is in the palm of your hands, man.
Yes.
So this upcoming fall, I'm be teaching a class called critical thinking for a semester to all the upcoming oncoming freshmen at Rice University for the first semester, just teaching them critical thinking skills. And then after that, just prepping for my keynotes that I have this year. I'm fortunate enough to be on the TEDx committee of the one I did last year. And I'm
Oh, nice. There you
appreciative of
go.
that opportunity because, everybody thought I did a great job. And so they invited me to be on the committee. And I appreciate all the love and appreciation for that. And so hopefully in the new year, as I, teach this class, do my speaking engagements, obviously continue with my music, and hopefully creating something in regards to another book. I do want to put out some more books. Just trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out the theme of the message of that. We can have something going within the next years. But man, feel free to reach out to me anytime for anybody that's out there. If they just want to ask questions, chop it up, whatever.
Right.
That I truly believe your network is your net worth, man. For real, for real.
Right.
And so you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at kscott_2. And don't be afraid, man. Shoot your shot. Holla at me.
There you go. K Scott _2. Now that's the best way to get in touch with you is just through Instagram or your website.
Yeah, you can go to the website too at kennethscott.me. So you can see everything from the books to the flash fiction series to my music. And yeah, you can book me for speaking engagements on there too. So I'm excited. Hopefully we can expand services sometime next year. But right now I just want to get
Mm-hmm.
my soul products underway and going to where it's in the system and we be good to go.
1000%, man. 1000. I will also include all that in the show notes as well. So don't worry about, trying to take notes and all that. It'll be just at a link. Just click it and you go from there. So, K Scott, this is the way I close out all the shows is I want you to use your imagination for a little bit. You're in somewhere in Canada. You just get cut. You you got a little one on the way. Tragically, you're trying to figure life out as your mother has gone on to a better place. You're that guy right there in that moment. And then this case that just spoke to us today, he's here, and he's gonna talk to that case out in the back that was in the past. What do you say? We'll close with that.
Woo. One thing I would tell that case, Scott, is obviously pressure is no match for purpose. That's my tagline. But in addition to that, what I tell them is that, learn how to navigate the fluidity of success and failure. And what I mean by that is, success and failure is just fleeting moments. But who you are is like the foundation to everything: your integrity, your discipline, your hard work, your drive, your dedication. And so, don't let these fleeting moments get to you and try to throw shades at your character. So always remain high character and do the best that you can in everything that you do, and don't let the outcome of success or failure hinder it in any way.
That's it, man. I love that. And if you are in that situation, just consider you as that old K Scott. He's talking to you. We do this for you guys. We do this for you guys to uplift yourself and just get better, get through that moment. I always talk about it, just get through the moments, and you're gonna be all right. All right.
It's real.
Fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.